Hello, species. I want to teach you about. I know lawyers and judges teach me a whole lot of things I don't know about the law. I want to teach you how you got to teach them about the law with reparations, how to answer questions, how to think. With reparations, everywhere there is pseudo justice, time is too fast and too slow being used to hurt. Valuing that hurt because it's time reliefs for everyone having the time used too fast, too slow. We're in an identity of negative value nature progression. Modern nation suits and ties counters to it about this, but with the campus already lost. Quality of fact treatment nature that is pseudo positive. That is care for sensibilities dishonestly, as the P only let voices pretend to be honest. Facilitated to means and styles to get away with it. In other words, immediate reliefs. If we move for immediate reliefs, that's different than moving for reparations, and that's noting what we have to note, which is the identity of relationship to the ground, which is what, which is tactically denatured by a criminally foreign influence, breaching organized crime method that was involved with the slavery and torture of our founders. That's why we're obligated, regardless of all the debatable with color and stuff like that, because that those crazy laws were these laws on everyone, and everywhere is below bottom, and that means there is it's recorded. Honestly, anyone knows in the back of their mind, in the front of their mind, and they're just not if they're saying nothing to themselves too. The identity of correlation nature that played out with the zoning laws. See, we only have people know that because we have glorified what our founders had to pretend as pseudo positive, as criminal decisions to the age, forced as roles. It's unfair to call them pretend they were slaves. It's like saying it's unfair to attack when they say to label someone Uncle Tom. They did that. They gave the people to communicate about complex things and not to be able to methodically. Everyone pseudo educated distinctly and non distinctly, sickly distinctly, so everyone could not realize how self valued non distinctly. That's the breaching organized crime method that has everyone blaming the real causes of name. You stack this, you pay this pathology out. That's the only means you can afford. These are zoning laws. These are pathology means to infrastructure. See what we're going to do. That's why the mountains are getting smaller. They're out of their minds. We have zoning laws that were never free. They have capitalism, communism. They have each age of fact treatment was literally child abused. Other methods of child abuse. Each position of time treatment was set up since before our founders' births to stay using the nature of fact treatment nature. They're a standing criminal insidiousness natures. Originally and still. I'm not a lawyer, not a police force, not a criminal. And these are people they know what when they hear you, they know you have to say things. They pretend they have conversations with you. They try to film, make look like they know you in the past. All exceptions criminally exploited. Attach you to fake locations. Attach kids to fake locations. Same people interstates around here sick as the ones maintain this from Washington D.C. Trade Center. The only reason I know this is from confessions they also use because having those kind of confessions makes it pretend they know someone. Then they can't go back and debate about that. So they try to make other issues and force issues before courts because various natures of courts criminally involved originally and still. Probate courts, especially with elderly, their roles with children, their roles with physical delusions, which I'll help delineate from their criminal foreign influences with you guys. We have to free speech mandated law. That means when someone wants to report something, you let them. They have crime methods like pretending they don't understand people. what they do. That's what they have people like from towns and areas and stuff like that. They're keeping each identity of correlation nature for a method that keeps each age of correlation nature valuing obfuscated. All that is easily without criminal foreign influence in areas and states to connect what is delicate to and simultaneously very strong, strong, also inseparable from it as the nature and its nature of relationship to itself and the value of it that our nature has. So, what I'm trying to say, hear many pray. So, New York game. This is what we're going to do. But this is not just the game. This just only feels like game because once we connect this again, the identity of the grounds, relationship to our body of value discernment, together as a species, it is so strong. We're organized to real fast get more rocks than the size of our entire mountain. We have what it means to use this game, for example, as it not a game. This is the tool. This is a leverage that taps in to the identity of identities of relationship to itself that bonded all the planets together, round, all directions. Now, Earth's is 365 days. Add 30, 93, 395 days. That five, that complete identity, a little bit of itself is going to stay apart from everything. That's the difference between that five makes it, in other words, three. I mean, 400 or 395 days, 395, or 400 days, because we are three. That's the extent of our our range of positive. We're in three. We're in what is inherent, active, and progressive nature of volume. Only the extent of this debatable being debated offensive. They put words like brainstorm. They put words like argument. There's all that's an argument. Oh, that's when people start reaching age, we try to be formal logic. They're putting argument because they have logic that is, you know, all victim predator roles, maintaining the correlation nature's identity of correlation obfuscated and way worse. And if they care at the same time, only let herd, you know, theater valuing that, facilitating each topic. That's why we have the same thing through time. We don't have the physical delusions with capitalism and with communism. Both in Russia and here, for example, recorded criminally foreign influence with the torture and slavery and identity theft of our founders with no free speech. Just because they stuck up the top of the Constitution, they didn't have free speech. But George Washington had to leave slavery in the North right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. What did they do with the Civil War? They just flanked. There's no distinction yet. Until there is release discerned, everything is pseudo justice. No matter what color you are, you're going for change as reparations. We're not making the distinctions first. We're going to be played. We are played. We have to be reliefs immediate. We have to show how forever nature. This is what we're going to do. This is no game. It only feels like a game because this liberates individual rights and value. The value of the ground is not even valued. I mean, is valued. We're not even valued. So forget about the ground being valued. We're supposed to be valued more than the ground, but we're not. To value ourselves more than the ground, when we're in a position where we're stuck, all the chemicals on top of the water, then we're supposed to evaluate different. See, but they'll make the laws. Oh, they go after the individual because they're identities that can't defend themselves as positive. They can't feel good about themselves, each person, because there's a breaching organized crime method sustained on everyone. This is an identity theft racket. When you play with color, when you even entertain it, which everyone's forced to do, because opinions are criminally foreign influenced on a mass scale, not by accident. Opinions are delusions wrought on a mass scale in interstitial sciences as they are recorded. Juxtaposed, our species is a brilliant, of course, but it's negative value nature, Leith of Hadith. Value nature system go from here. We're still in this tactically denatured relationship to nature, forced with the slavery, torture of our founders, glorified, not by accident. See criminal insidiousness. So we're going to move for relief. We're going to set up our own means to do it, to reveal it, to reveal to other nations at the same time what they couldn't fathom could be afforded for them. Individual companies and stuff like that. We have things that no one should have to pay for private. No one should profit from when we're still even. We never liberated people. We have six speculation only fathomed, and from retreats became self-valued. In other words, you're supposed to be, we have to talk about markets positions, things like that. Every modern nation is in markets positions that are evaluating systems tactically ulterior from the one we have to be as science. That's going to cause positive value nature progression action nature as evolution using the ground. We have that left out. That's why they're shooting areas. It's not because they have mental illnesses because they're tortured. Our founders had mental illness because they didn't have free speech, not because they had mental illnesses. The nature's brilliant. Not having identity theft, sequence shifts, tactical pseudo education, standing mask wrongdoers, other natures of criminals, like acts, like predicate acts, insidious acts, covering up. Then you have lie progression, standing cover up lie progression to cover up nature styles. These are people that never heard law's voice with nation walking and stuff like that. In the mass thing, right now we could heal the species. Forget about it. All that wasted energy in between Israel and Palestine. They could have built paradise 50 times over. They don't even realize how. In other words, even so, America, all these nations forced themselves got forced in us. Coalition, they call it. Allies, they call it. They're here, victim predators, negotiated worse than terrorism. Originally, Celeste was being maintained. I told you, I knew that was going to come in the spring. And what I do? I'm over here on a serious video about the halo, and I have a black thing with white writings. I'm just noting that because there are proofs that it is plausibly tied. And many lied because these are also people internation police and internation military recording and facilitating to the crimes with CCSU. In other words, and these are people with identity thefts. Don't forget that. These are people that have people walk up to people, on a constant. In other words, they use that this is life progressions in a sustained way on areas through time. See, the phenomenon brought this to no one would have caught this. How many people saw a director of the FBI as a defendant in a 2006 district court case? Excuse me. How many people before that was brought about? That part of that case slash was brought about. Proven sequence shift had been proven. There had been post-dated documents to appear late before the Ninth Circuit panel of judges in the Trade Center attack context. Now, see, the people associated with that a whole bunch of ways did crime acts tricks between family members of mine. In other words, then those were people that became co-defendants of former director of the FBI. Three of them. See, they had criminal uses of the people at the schools I went to, but I had no conversations with them. No, these are people in the background sticking things in databases, having people share names, attaching me and other people to fake locations, fake conversations, and knowing people through time and connecting that, which is sustained again. This when I say this sustained, these are the people with criminal uses of where they have shootings all the time in Hartford. This got animated because of all the phenomena, boxing, the FBI directors, the former FBI standing chairperson on RICO law, racketeering influences in the corrupt organization. His lawyer, Robert Chevalier, that's Robert Lusky. His lawyer, Robert Chevalier, I believe, off of Farmington Avenue. I don't know if he's still there. So these are areas where people from my town, intercity, involved. They're facilitating the crime. Then they facilitate. When you go into court, acting like, in other words, they pretend you should speak without a lawyer and criminally, and then using lawyers to forge names and switch names. Using lawyers for depositions, fake sides of fact sheet nature, identity theft in the past, database crimes, wire crime rules, mail crime rules, with the same ones. These are people that maintain criminally foreign influence prosecutors. Look at Hartford, Connecticut. Look at the people stacking New York City. It's not blame what you do there. They would need the blame. They need to pretend to be for reparations. They need to be against them wrong. They need to leave the quality of fact treatment nature not heard, not to hear and understand what reliefs are. Not to hear and understand what forever nature is. Not to discern that and how both fake sides with the word reparations are using time too slow, too fast. We want now. We want reliefs. And we're gonna do it ourselves. So we're gonna need. I'm not. It is cruel and unjust punishment to have marijuana illegal, and that's part of it. Then they have different qualities, stuff like they're gonna play. They're playing games with kids who have nothing, nowhere to go, nothing to do. I'm not saying kids should have that stuff, but I'm saying the Justice Department can't think. They're victim predators. They're another nature of pseudo positive criminal insidiousness nature, just fake sides of correlation nature, with other whole bunch of other nations sick there and here. We're negotiated there and here with terrorism since ancient times. This just reminds you can't defend the relationships with sciences, pretended science. I'm not saying science aren't brilliant. It's bad. Everyone make an opinion, but I'm not asking to make opinion about things. I want a response. There people forging names, switching names. You go into courts, they use that as torture because they're just attaching people to fake things because they're caught. Before they did that, they were caught online, recorded. These are investigators of investigators in crimes roles with maintain that filter all these motivations. They stack so many names against people. Intercities. So that's in Hartford, Connecticut, near the Mark Twain house, Harriet Beecher Stowe house. Harriet Beecher Stowe with the phrase Uncle Tom. This is worse than divide and conquer. And self-valued by everyone. All we have to do is play the game. The Burroughs book will guide. I don't mean to hear you guys. I'm just saying, one way alone fights but hurts none. And I'll get This is how we get out of the trap. That everyone's trying to fight and yell at each other to get out of it, and then no one ever gets out of it because we're all tangled. This reveals, imagine we all working together, how many rocks there are that we could just gather in one day for free. You know, if you everyone has, if they tell you the locations or whatever like that. But I'm trying to say, bigger than a mountain. We overcome we can build machines. Know that nations like Russia and America aren't going to be doing sick things in the background to each other. That's how we're negotiating with terrorism. Then they can't have a quality of fact cheating nature because there's a whole bunch of nations at once, and they're all pretending they're positive. They all resolve disputes that way. So they have to they have to value more and more how they pretended they were positive when they were resolving those disputes. That's demonstrably why and how, then they value that because then they can't answer questions about the law regarding needs for it now. We're going to train and fight together and right, and we're going to force instant evolution. There's unfathomed means. There are unfathomed means in space. The identity of space is bigger than it, bigger than all the planets together, individually grouped and together as value, as nature, here. She means appear. Excuse me. So we'll examine how the letters are ways, three ways. Overall, Trinity nature in relationship to nature itself as value distinctly and as nature as distinctly, but value as nature. But where it is value as nature in relationship to where simultaneously nature is value, the difference is between how the greater volume that makes it value. In other words, that's the hierarchy of the Trinity, of its relationship to itself. In other words, it's like another nature of spine. We'll examine this because it's what causes positive or negative value nature progression. The fruits of evolution does not work without the ground. Why do you think we have to stand on the ground? Need this nature of leverage as semi-nature. Leverage is semi-nature. It's only positive, temporary positive. Temporary positive note could be criminal insidious nature. Now you can't defend that and speak about logic properly. What's proper? Unless you want to be, you have to value what the whip was for, what all those crazy laws against everyone was for. Not just for those moments in Gates think they're not because they were worried about morality. This is a long-term breaching organized crime method using human fact-shaping nature. We're tactically pseudo-educated. I'm not trying to make fun of anyone. I'm trying to show you a premise treatment. Sequence true. What is true always, not denying exceptions. I'm showing how to combat, in other words, how to counter, how to forward argument that doesn't break apart. Argument that doesn't force a nature of fighting with facts that can't defend that and counter criminal insidiousness nature. All the natures of it. Fake positive. See suits and ties. I'm not doing that to make fun of suits and ties. That was engineered roles criminally involved. We have right means right now. We inherent to our species and as the sequence nature true. And the identity of correlation nature. That never let free speech. That's all we need is free speech. That's all we need is freedom for religion. We don't have that. We have them offensively, consciously, methodically influenced, hurt, tricked, worse, maintained, defended with physical delusions because they need to hide how we're experts on psychology, crimes with various natures of courts, crime methods, natures, and roles, then with live progressions from there. That was maintained already. They need each age all history's too hard to talk about. They're making confessions and demonstrations in the suburbs as the same ones that are maintaining, facilitated, and exploited the overt criminal enterprises on the areas that are victim predator roles with it, where all the shootings are. No joke. So I'm not trying to pretend like I'm with these people in New York. Especially, you guys aren't going to hear me because you don't have a computer. But that's why I want to. We're going to embrace. We're going to connect that with the people who's, who first believe and or are first willing to fight with us, who believes. This is a system where any individual could take position against the whole game. We don't moderate anything, especially inside. This is fake communism and fake capitalism, and we need free speech now. That's not honest. Those aren't honest opinions when they do that, and their delusions rot. And it's time to have that taught now. They're keeping people. This is also in relationship to measured distances in relationship to databases per crime method that keeps for methods, little tricks that keep like a magician might have a trick. Like criminals might have a trick to pull something off, exactly like that. This is a breaching organized crime method that put people into this mass scale here or there. Pathology of infrastructure, zoning laws, and you see how the houses in Russia here. Pathology of infrastructure, facades on businesses, things like that means to afford such. Even though we have cars now, that was forced since before they had cars. With the torture and slavery of our founders, no one could talk about building other. That's what I learned at CCSU with notes. Just the notes. Fake branches fall. We build the wall. This body of value discernment is another nature of the wall. I'll misbelieve. Don't disbelieve. Don't disbelieve. These are sick branches. They're not carried. In other words, those prisons and stuff like that, they pretend they want to keep them hard so people don't stay out there. That's not what they want to do. They need to hide lie progressions because these are standing lie progression. They need to hide their natures. They were engineered like this, so we're going to convert their value nature system because we're going to take over. There's not going to be crimes. We do this. We know, and we're going to do this. If we could do this and just get it going for New York, at the same time we do it with the other states and natures of cities and stuff like that, they'll help. And the species will too, because it's the same plan. We're going to be doing the same thing. Well, with the 5 parts, but New York is 5 boroughs anyway. That's why it's good, and it's right between New York and Boston. And we have to have our American history. We don't have it yet. Whoa. We have to have demonstrated what pretends they don't realize, and what really doesn't realize to have it discerned.